The west coast of the South Island has been much neglected over, oh God, not years, decades now, which most West Coasters find difficult to put up with because they know that they have resources within their region, that were they allowed to develop them, they would be a very prosperous community indeed. It wouldn't matter whether they were putting in dams to create electricity or they were mining the wonderful coal that they've got on the west coast, or indeed mining precious metals in that part of the world. There's a whole series of people in Wellington and Auckland, but particularly Wellington, who live in leafy suburbs who don't want them to do that because that would offend them when they go on their once or twice yearly pilgrimage to the west coast and drive through it and say, isn't everything lovely the way it is at the moment? Who would possibly think of despoiling this wonderful countryside? The latest excursion in that particular conflict relates to a mining company, Bathurst Resources, who I assume are Australian with a name like that, who are seeking fast-track approval to extend an existing mine, Stockton Mine, and extract 20 million tonnes of coal from the Denniston and Stockton plateaus over the next 25 years. Last week, about 70 people camped on or out at those particular sites, and several protesters climbed into cable cars used to transport coal. A police intervened, arrested 6 people, I think a handful of activists who had spent time sleeping. But God, obviously don't have a job to go to. And then on Monday, 3 more activists climbed into the coal buckets. They were arrested as well. The West Coast, or the Grey District Mayor, has said that these coal protesters should bugger off. There are about 70 of them, and I think her suggestion is, along with others, that they do not belong in our area, don't represent the coast, and are trying to stop us from actually having an economic future. And along those lines, Grey District Mayor Tania Gibson joins us now. Tania, welcome to the show. Lovely to have you on again.
Good morning.
You told them to bugger off. Was that, you probably told them something else actually, a bit harsher than that, but did they listen to you?
Well, I don't think they probably heard from me. They were more worried about Minister Jones's comments and CEO of Bathurst's comments. But, they don't come from here. They come down here with their ideology. I would like to see them show up in one of our main centres of Greymouth or Westport and actually face the people that, they're actually protesting about and their employment and their livelihoods. So I doubt they'll be doing that.
It must be very frustrating for you because I've been reading about this protest on Radio New Zealand, and you probably have been as well, and listening to it. And the sentiment seems to be very much with the protesters. You get a sort of you have to say something like bugger off, or Shane Jones has to use some colourful language for the other side to be put. Does it annoy you that you are not getting a fair shake on this particular issue, that news media organisations don't appear to want to carry your view unless as a reaction to the protest?
Yes, definitely. And I think people around the country need to be educated on where their products actually come from because, again, most of the products that these climate activists are using are all from mine products and they just don't seem to want to listen. There's a great company, Out West Tours, that do a tour of the Bathurst mine and explain the rehabilitation and the sustainability and the pest control and what they do and talks about the operation. But I doubt any of them would actually even want to know, that they just will not, listen to the story.
Where do they come from? Do you know? Where are they? You say they don't come from the coast. Are they professional protesters? Are they active environmental activists paid by, I don't know, Greenpeace or something like that? Do you know where they come from?
No, well, we're assuming they're coming from Wellington or Auckland. We haven't really got any clarity on that, but they did turn up and book themselves into a local hall that had been funded and paid for by Bathurst to actually have all of the renovations done, but they booked in under a persona. got themselves into the community. And, as we say, Bathurst and mining on the West Coast supports so many of our local initiatives and community facilities. And, we are all big supporters. And reading from the comments, from my media comments and on our social media pages, West Coasters and people have been actually generally supportive. People from around the country have been actually sending emails saying, well done, we actually support you. We've had a couple of, activists obviously email saying I'm arrogant and ignorant, but by all accounts, comments, people actually seem to be quite understanding, and they're not reading into that media view, which is good.
Okay. I've noticed also in the last 48 hours that Greenpeace have come out in support of the coal mining and protestors. They, in actual fact, are accusing, well, you are essentially of conspiring to put life on Earth at risk. And this is one of those moments. From that sort of rhetoric, you'd think that this protest isn't going to go away anytime soon.
No, we have 1,200 new proposed jobs with mining initiatives that are going through consents processes and getting set up at the moment. And, we don't want to see these climate change protesters here. The West Coast has been mined for 100 years, and it's actually built New Zealand, and it's still the cleanest, greenest, most pristine place with 85% dockland in the country. And I challenge again anyone to drive and find a mine, because there's just no evidence. And even these new mining opportunities, they'll be done sustainably with rehabilitation, and it won't affect our environment in a big, it won't be a massive effect from what we already have.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, the rhetoric's been used by Greenpeace, and they're ratcheting this up, not just nationally but internationally. Is that essentially you're not only obviously risking the planet through mining coal, because coal is evil, but you are also creating a biodiversity crisis. I quote you on this. This is from a press release 48 hours ago, which is an existentialist crisis on the West Coast. Is there any truth in that at all?
It's fear mongering. As I say, it's been done here for years. And if you go up to Bathurst Resources, they literally actually pick the land up, move it sideways, rehabilitate it, and pop it back. And they are very conscious of the environment. And they have to be, with today's restrictions and resource consents and laws of what they actually have to do. And the fast tracking, all the hysteria around that, they still have to go through rigorous, strict processes to be able to do these things.
Now, the fast track legislation will carry on its way. I probably have very little doubt that it will succeed. Is that your estimation as well?
Well, we hope it will succeed. We have projects on the West Coast, as you say, for electricity generation and mining initiatives. We do hope. We need it, because the red tape in the system is actually ridiculous. And to get these jobs up and running and the employment on the West Coast, we need to actually get that. And the government needs the royalties and the funding from it as much as anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. The government's a bit cash-strapped at the moment. Hey, listen, just while we're talking about that, we've talked before on the show about variety of things happening on the coast, and on the state of the economy and the services that are available to you, particularly around health, for example. Has anything improved over the last 3 years, or has it remained static, or has it deteriorated in terms of services being provided to the coast? Because you seem to be going, and I'm hearing this anecdotally, of course, you seem to be going through a bit of a boom at the moment in terms of people thinking they might want to live there.